Okay, let's unpack this one. Imagine, like, the legend, Robin Hood. But he ditches Sherwood Forest, swaps it for, I don't know, maybe a trailer park. And his merry men, they're probably hanging out at some local dive bar, right? Not exactly hiding from the Sheriff of Nottingham in the woods anymore. So today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty unique. It's a tabletop role-playing game, where players tell stories together as characters. This one's called My Name is Hood. And it's not just any game, it's this brilliant mashup. It fuses, well, the timeless Robin Hood story with the really specific, quirky, sometimes surprisingly heartfelt comedy world of TV writer Greg Garcia. We call that the Garcia-verse, right? That mix of blue-collar humor, flawed folks, real empathy. Think My Name is Earl or Raising Hope, that kind of feel. So our mission for you today is to pull out the key stuff from this blend. To understand how a game like this creates a world that's, like, hilariously absurd, but also deeply relatable.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating here, you see, is how the creators show you don't need some huge epic fantasy thing to tell great stories about justice and community. They've grabbed these familiar ideas, these archetypes and settings, and just twisted them into something completely fresh. It really captures this unique underlying vibe. So this deep dive, it's not just about My Name is Hood. It's kind of a shortcut, to get informed on how mixing unexpected genres can actually show you some powerful stuff about people and spark some really inventive world building. You'll see pretty quick it's less about like huge battles and more about regular blue-collar outcasts fighting the local system with, well, smarts and heart.
Okay, so to really get this blend, we need to jump into the setting. Nottingham County, USA. This place is just packed with these deliberately odd details. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. It's not a real place you can find on a map. It's intentionally vague, described as like rural or semi-rural somewhere in flyover country, maybe Florida even, which is actually brilliant design because it lets you, the player, project your own local weirdness onto it. It's like a canvas for all this delightful strangeness where normal stuff becomes extraordinary.
Yeah.
Mundane becomes comedy gold. And we've got some incredible details about the county that just paint this amazing picture. For instance, the biggest employer, the Nile.com fulfillment warehouse, sits between East Sherwood and Possum Trot.
Wow.
The backstory in the game is nuts. The county basically gave them the land for $1.
Wow.
And promised half its tax revenues. But the real kicker, this darkly funny rumor the regional manager brought back droit du seigneur, that old feudal right, with the county commissioner's wife.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the warehouse. Always hiring. Pays a bit more. If you don't pee very often. That's literally in the description.
That's quite the HR policy.
Then you've got Outback Uwe's Drivethru Zoo, run by this local celebrity guy, Outback Uwe. He even has his own public access nature show.
Seriously?
Yeah. Speaks with a thick Eastern European accent, dresses like Crocodile Dundee, and has a rep, the game says, for being a little handsy.
Oh, lovely.
The animals just wander around, so you definitely need to keep your car windows up.
Yeah.
Some apparently bite, spit, or throw poop.
Sounds less like a zoo, more like a hazardous materials safari and that kind of thing. That over-the-top, slightly dangerous local spot.
Yeah.
That is classic Garcia-verse. It's ridiculous, but it feels weirdly believable in this specific world, right?
Yeah.
Creates instant comedy, instant tension. Players are immediately interested. It really teaches you something important about world building, too. Sometimes the weirdest little detail makes a place feel incredibly real and memorable. It weaves this shared tapestry of strangeness that players just instantly latch onto.
And you absolutely cannot miss Muznik's Outdoor Emporium. It's this huge sporting goods store, shaped like an Aztec pyramid.
An Aztec pyramid, why?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
The game says nobody can adequately explain it. Inside, beyond the usual camping gear and guns, they've got stuffed exotic animals, like an elephant, an ostrich, even a Fiji mermaid.
A Fiji mermaid.
And live animals, too, including the star attraction, Big Papa. He is a morbidly obese grizzly bear who juggles and rides a unicycle.
A juggling, unicycling, morbidly obese grizzly bear.
Got it. If it's your birthday, you get a free can of night crawlers.
Naturally. What else?
You seriously can't make this stuff up. Or, well, clearly they did, and brilliantly.
Exactly. And connecting this back, these aren't just random weird bits. They're carefully put there to establish that Garcia-verse vibe in Nottingham County. It's all about embracing the absurdity of everyday life, finding the funny and the peculiar, and making sure even background places and characters have some kind of story. That's what makes the world feel lived in, populated by real, if bizarre, people, not just, cardboard cutouts. And it really sets the stage for the kinds of stories you can tell. It grounds the Robin Hood legend stuff in this very specific blue-collar reality.
You could almost picture driving through this place, can't you? The details just stick with you. They build this rich picture of a place that feels both kind of familiar and totally insane at the same time. But okay, with all these eccentric details flying around Nottingham County, how does the game make sure the world still feels, I don't know, believable, not just pure chaos?
That's a great question. I think it comes down to the underlying logic they use. Even within the absurdity, there's this internal consistency. The characters, yeah, they're bizarre, but they react in ways that feel recognizably human within their environment.
Okay.
A lot of the humor comes from that clash, right?
Okay.
Between their mundane reality and the extraordinary stuff happening. It's a very specific kind of logic that defines the Garcia-verse. It makes even the weirdest things feel like, yeah, okay, that fits here.
Right. So, with a backdrop this vivid, it's no shock that the people living in Nottingham County are equally memorable. And this is really where that Robin Hood narrative kicks in. The blue-collar outcasts fighting the local establishment. We're going to meet heroes, villains, and everyone in between. They all add to this unique flavor. Let's look at the folks in charge, the law enforcement, because they are certainly colorful. You've got the Nottingham County Sheriff's Department, biggest and best funded in the county, and it's led by Sheriff Dickie Lionheart, known, maybe not so affectionately, as Little Dick.
Okay.
The game describes him as corrupt as a dog's hind leg. He relies heavily on his dad's reputation. Dad's a U.S. senator to win elections. Apparently, his opponents have a habit of mysteriously dropping out of races.
Convenient.
Very. What I found really striking was this detail, the WWPHITM. Who would play him in the movie? I'm curious who they picked for this guy.
For Sheriff Lionheart. The game suggests Danny McBride.
Oh, perfect.
Right. And that little detail, it's not just a fun pop culture nod. It instantly helps you, the players and the game master, totally grasp the character's archetype, the comedic tone. It's brilliant shorthand.
Yeah, I can see it.
And beyond that, the game adds these little layers. He's secretly a closet Trekkie and surprisingly good at crossword puzzles.
No way.
Yeah. So a corrupt jock type with this secret nerdy side. That just screams Garcia-verse, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And then there's his loyal, but maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed, deputy, Beauregard Bulldozer Dozier, former football hero, now described as a meathead, briefly worked as a male stripper.
Of course he did.
And is in an unhealthy relationship with the county medical examiner, his WWPHITM, none other than John Cena.
Okay, yeah, that tracks. Big, loyal, maybe not overthinking things.
But then, in total contrast, you have other police forces, like East Sherwood's police department. They're mostly bicycle cops, less ambitious. They often prefer just giving warnings because paperwork's a hassle. Their chief, Captain Margaret Sweetwood, apparently once told someone, "Jesus Christ, on a bicycle stand. You'd think that someone who lies as often as you do would eventually get better at it."
That's fantastic. Very specific.
Is it? Or how about Auxiliary Deputy Franco Torres over in Possum Trot? He's a volunteer officer, drives a golf cart, and is madly in love with a local Amish girl he's never actually met.
Oh, bless his heart.
People assume he's developmentally challenged, which the game notes is probably the only reason he doesn't get beat up more often.
And this range, this whole spectrum of law enforcement, it's incredibly clever game design. It gives you that crucial comedic and dramatic tension.
Right.
The corrupt sheriff and his goons. They're your clear antagonists, your sheriff of Nottingham figure. But the more laid-back cops, or the incompetent ones, they create openings for the players, opportunities to operate, to escape, maybe even find some really unexpected allies. It's such a Garcia-verse way of looking at authority. The bad guys are often just as flawed and comically inept as the good guys. Makes for a really rich landscape for conflict.
But it's not all about the bad guys, is it? Like you said, beyond the quirky law and disorder, the real heart of Nottingham County, just like in the best Garcia shows, is often with its everyday folks. These regular people are the ones who truly bring this world to life. They're like Joe Ray McElhinney. He runs Barbie cones.
Barbie cones, like barbecue in a cone.
Exactly. Delicious, tender, slow-cooked, falling off the bone meats served in waffle cones.
Yeah.
From his mobile kitchen. And he has a meat lab for innovations in meat delivery.
A meat lab.
The game suggests Giovanni Ribisi for his WWPHITM. You can just picture that quirky intensity, right? Then there's Denise D.D. Caldwell, lead bartender at the County Line Bar. She knows everyone's darkest secrets. Runs a deadbeat drinkers Facebook group.
Oh, I bet that's juicy.
For WWPHITM, Julia Lewis. Which just fits perfectly, doesn't it? Like, I've seen it all, honey, now buy me a drink. And the Platt sisters, Courtney and Desdemona, they run the Shady Lane Funeral Chapel. Identical twins. But one's like the cheerful former prom queen type, and the other is a surly, tattooed goth chick who once got arrested for beating up McGruff the crime dog.
Wait, McGruff the crime dog?
Seriously. And get this casting suggestion, Miley Cyrus as both of them.
Wow,
Yeah.
like two vastly different versions. That's inspired.
We can't forget Sister Mary Catherine Swintowski from Our Lady of Perpetual Bells Convent. She's the prioress, sure, but also a champion bowler.
A bowling nun.
Yep, known to punish blasphemy ruthlessly with what former Nottingham High Latin students call the yardstick of doom.
The yardstick of doom.
And her WWPHITM, Cassandra Peterson, a.k.a. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
That adds a whole other layer of
Yeah.
amazing absurdity. And what's so great here is how these characters, even with all their eccentricities, they often really embody those core themes of found family and altruism. They might be dirtbags, as the source material kind of lovingly calls them, but underneath, they often have hearts of gold, their loyalty, how they help each other out even when they're struggling themselves. That's what makes the setting really resonate. It creates those classic Garcia-verse moments. It's a powerful reminder that character depth often comes from those unexpected contradictions, those hidden good qualities, not just obvious heroism.
Okay, so let's really unpack the core thinking, the philosophy behind My Name is Hood. What makes this specific blend Robin Hood meets early 2000s sitcoms so effective? So appealing for someone looking to get, well-informed about a new concept like this. I think it really boils down to a few key guidelines for the characters and the stories. They keep it grounded and funny. First, working-class PCs. That's player characters, right? The people you'd actually play in the game. The game insists they have blue-collar jobs. They're grappling with being perpetually short on cash. They make absurd quality-of-life compromises. That grounding in everyday money struggles makes their wins and especially their losses feel super relatable. It's not about becoming rich. It's about making rent. That tells us something important, right? Relatability often comes from those specific, grounded realities, not just big, sweeping stories. Any story can connect deeper by exploring the everyday compromises its characters make. Second guideline, small-time criminals. If your character dabbles in crime, their rap sheet should be played for laughs. It says that explicitly. Maybe they steal copper from an abandoned building, get into dumb trouble. They're not pulling off Ocean's 11 heists or doing serious violence. Keeps the tone light, focused on comedy. Very My Name is Earl. But doesn't that risk making the whole fighting the establishment thing feel a bit low stakes? How does the game keep real tension if the crimes are always for laughs?
That's a really sharp point. And the genius, I think, is that the stakes stay deeply personal, even if the crimes themselves are small. It's about protecting their community, saving a local landmark from being bulldozed, getting back at some petty tyrant sheriff. It cleverly avoids turning the game into like a gritty crime drama, keeps the humor front and center, like Earl's sometimes really misguided attempts to make amends, right?
Right.
But the consequences for the characters, they still feel real. Their relationships, their place in the community, it's those micro stakes that keep you invested, even when the grand scheme is totally absurd.
Third point, good people, despite flaws, even with vices, serious personality defects, and trust me, Nottingham County folks have plenty, the characters are fundamentally decent deep down. Redemption is a huge theme. Empathy is key. You're not playing some truly awful person. You're playing someone with a good heart who just makes a lot of bad choices or has some major quirks. Yeah. This rule really shows us that even the most flawed people can be heroes in their own way. That real character comes from their underlying intentions, their willingness to maybe possibly grow. And finally, there's the what just happened moment. Every story needs that trigger, right? For these characters, it's often something deeply personal, something impactful that makes them just now decide to fight back against the corruption, like getting evicted, losing their job unfairly, facing some ridiculous tax.
The last straw moment.
Exactly. It's that moment where they, metaphorically fall off their horse and suddenly care about the world's problems because now it's affecting them.
Yeah.
It's a powerful way to make these big universal struggles feel super intimate and personal for the characters and for you, the player.
And this all ties back beautifully to the appeal of both Robin Hood and Greg Garcia's work, the corrupt institutions in Nottingham County. They aren't just mustache-curling evil, they're often driven by plain old greed, laziness, self-interest, which actually creates more room for those redemption stories that feel so right for the Garcia-verse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The game encourages trickery and devious schemes as the way to win. which totally mirrors how the Merry Men and Garcia's sitcom characters often outwit their more powerful opponents. They turn the bad guy's own foibles, flaws, and machinations against them. It's all about being clever, not just strong, emphasizing ingenuity as the path to victory, even when the odds are stacked against you. And crucially, the game embraces the feels.
Yes, the feels.
Right. Amidst all the laughter, all the absurdity, there are these moments of genuine emotional impact, often between the most unlikely characters, exploring that shared humanity. It's a really delicate balance. A joke might come right after a really profound moment, but that moment is always allowed to just hang there long enough that you feel it. That dedication to the human element, that's what lifts it beyond just being a funny game. It makes the characters and their struggles really connect with you. It highlights that even in the most out there comedic settings, audiences, players, we all crave that genuine connection, that emotional payoff.
It's a world where, as the game itself puts it, there are no extras, just friends we haven't met yet. Every single background character has the potential for a story, which enriches the whole experience, makes Nottingham County feel incredibly alive. It really hammers home that idea, doesn't it? That in great storytelling, every character, no matter how small their part seems, can add richness to the whole thing. So what does this all mean for us? What's the takeaway? My Name is Hood gives us this really fantastic lens for looking at storytelling and world building. It shows us that real depth, real humor can come from mashing up unexpected genres, from grounding fantastical ideas in everyday reality and filling that reality with characters who are, flawed, but fundamentally good. It's all about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary and proving that sometimes the best stories pop up in the most unlikely places.
Yeah, this deep dive really highlights how a concept that seems maybe niche on the surface can actually offer some pretty profound insights about community, justice, humor. It makes you think maybe the best way to deal with the corrupt institutions or just the absurdities in our own lives isn't always through grand gestures. Maybe it's through ingenuity, through that strong sense of found family, and maybe, just maybe, having a good laugh along the way. It really leaves you with an important question, doesn't it? What's your version of Nottingham County? What kind of unique characters live there in your world, waiting for their moment, maybe even waiting for their own unique who would play them in the movie?
Yep.
Casting call.
That is a truly thought-provoking idea to mull over. A great place to leave it. We really hope you've enjoyed this fascinating journey into My Name is Hood and the Garcia-verse. Until next time, keep diving deep.